Al Snow tag team comedy featuring David
Yeah.
Mullen coming up. June 30th is going to be the premiere. Uh, Al, you've had some successful teams before. You've had In the Ring, Steve Blackman with Head Cheese, Chavo Guerrero. We spoke not too long ago about the comic book series you're doing. I know you did one with Jesse Goddard's too.
Mhm.
Now you're working with David on this stage show.
Yes.
How did it come together? What are you expecting? I know you taped it at Zany's in Chicago. Talk a little bit about
Yeah.
the event coming up.
Sure. Well, David and I had known each other for some time. We had met through a common friend, and that was Ken Anderson.
Mhm.
And David's been an accomplished comedian and musician and stuff for years. And we, for a long time, bandied about the idea of me doing comedy, like stand-up comedy and such. And I was always so more heavily involved with wrestling at the time, and just didn't really have the focus or the opportunity to really devote myself to it. And then it just so happened after a period of time, I got to give David credit. He was very persistent. Um, we got together and decided we'd give it a shot, and it's been going great. I mean, it's been really a lot of fun, very enjoyable. It's a new uh, challenge for me, a new direction. With its own set of rules and things, and I'm learning as I go. But Dave is really good at me being able to lean on his experience and things like that. So it's worked out really well. We play off each other really well, and the audiences have seemed like they enjoy it. I mean, nobody's come and thrown fruit at us on the stage or vegetables yet. So until that day comes, I think we're at least hitting singles and doubles. We may not always hit a home run, but we're at least up at bat and getting to run the bases a little bit. So
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I agree with everything he said, especially all the nice stuff about me.
So David, you obviously have a lot of experience being on stage. Uh, Al, I know you have great comedic timing based on talking to you before, but also, your Twitter feed is full of these jokes.
yeah.
How do you take that and sort of translate it to the stage? Or maybe David, you could speak to how you really fine tune what Al is good at as far as comedy and
Yeah.
making it gel with you, because you have your own routine, so does he, but you want to make sure
Yeah.
it's a good fit. And how do you make it all work?
Well, I would definitely say one of the foundations of my ability to do comedy is I have a very diverse improv background. So my ability to kind of just go with anything that's thrown at me, literally create something out of nothing, right? So, it was never going to be a problem no matter what Al's comfortability was, and even in the beginning, it was like, just lean on me and I'll, we'll work together. The whole idea is to make each other look good, right?
Mhm.
But one of the things that I think separates Al from a lot of the other pro wrestlers who go into other career paths is, not to name drop, but we all know that there are certain wrestlers who are doing comedy shows, right? And so, if you go to those shows, not disparaging them at all, but it's not really comedy. It's really just them kind of regaling the audience with, road stories, which is great. We love that. I consume that. But Al really writes jokes. I mean, he comes up with jokes. He understands the concept of a joke creation. He understands the setup, the misdirection, the punch. He gets all that, and he just does that, as you mentioned earlier, just in conversation. He's comedic. Just to have a conversation with Al, he's going to find the funny somewhere. And so, I think going into it with Al, what we tried to create was something that, obviously still gives a nod to the audience who's there because they're fans of Al's wrestling history.
Mhm.
Um, but my selfish desire for Al, my friend, is to see him continue on specifically, through a comedy universe and see if he can, just keep doing what he does as far as joke creation. And early on in our first couple of outings, Al, it was probably, 20% pre-written jokes, and then 80% just kind of questions from the audience and going off of that. That as you're going to see in this special that's going to air Friday, is I'd say now Al has gone to about 80% pre-written jokes, and about 20% like road stories and stuff. And I'd love it to see if Al can go just 100%, just going through a routine and all of his jokes and all of that. And I think we're getting there. And not like I said, not that there's anything wrong with enjoying Al talking about his experiences. That's what it's all about. But as a comedian, it warms my heart to know that, especially doing multiple shows with Al, seeing some of the same jokes hit, and like, yeah, Al's getting it. I'm really enjoying that part of the process. So I have the best seat in the house. I get to literally sit right next to Al and watch this guy find the funny in all the situations. And when the audience will say something, or even remotely try to heckle, Al's already ready and then can respond and bounce back, and it's a lot of fun. So we're really enjoying it. And so with the show we did at Zany's in Chicago, one of my good friends and a really accomplished Chicago filmmaker, Danny Reyes, was like, "Hey, I want to shoot that." And I asked Al, I said, "Are you cool with this?" And he said, "Yeah, let's do it." So we shot it, and it ended up looking really nice. And so we pitched it to a couple of avenues, and Premier Streaming Network was the winner, so to speak. And so we're just very excited to have this special come out. And now people who maybe didn't have the opportunity to catch us in their city can see kind of what the show's all about. And that's it's just a lot of fun.
Do you have a comedy pet peeve, like being on stage, as far as the audience participation aspect? But questions.
I mean,
guys.
I'll tell you right now, I mean, as far as the shows Al and I have done together, there really hasn't been any problems. As a comic, sure. I mean, I have pet peeves when people, heckle or start, deciding that it's time to have a single conversation with a room full of other people who paid to see the show. But at the same time, I'm confident in my ability to roll with anything. That nothing really bothers me. It's just a matter of, how hard I have to work on stage at any given moment.
Al, I'll pose the same question to you.
Oh,
if you want to relate,
yeah,
like, do you have any sort of pet peeves when you're in your performing mindset?
no, not at all. I mean, I think that's, from the experience in wrestling all the years and interacting with the audience on different levels, it's completely what, in wrestling, that's what you do, is you live off of and thrive off of the reaction of the audience. And you're always looking for ways to keep control and take control and keep control of the audience and direct it in spite of itself. And, it doesn't bother me at all. I just play off of whatever happens when we're out there. And to David's point, we've not really had any problems with it. I mean, all the audiences have been great. They're, you get every once in a while, there are situations where there may be a fan or somebody that wants to go into business for themselves and kind of make the show about them. But we've not really experienced too much of that. We had a really unique situation. David talked about it yesterday on another interview that we're doing, out in the middle of nowhere in Illinois. And we went to this bar and there were women there having a birthday party, and the bar was full of people, and there were all the noise, and, they were there to see a comedy show, but they weren't there to see a comedy show. And instead of just standing up there and just doing a comedy show, David and I just immediately started interacting and reacting with the audience itself and making the audience the act. And it was a blast. We had a great time doing it. I mean, it was a really terrific experience, by just not trying to stay within a certain confines and just going, screw it. They want to have fun this way. Well, we'll have fun with them. And
and I think we came up with some pretty clever jokes too that night. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a really good time, and they all had a really good time. They enjoyed it that much more because they were the show. And boy, were they ever the show. They were the show.
Yeah, I didn't mean to paint it in a negative context, but the one that came to mind was I just went to a show, and it was sort of what David, you were saying about how you know, one of the people in the audience kind of wants like one-on-one time where it's an audience like,
and they're usually drunk.
yeah, that's usually a safe indication.
Yeah. But I mean, you can use it to entertain the rest of the audience, you know, and you can use the person who is wanting the attention by giving it to them, and then, you know, using that to entertain everybody else at that, unfortunately, at that poor soul's expense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Al, I mentioned a couple of the things you've been up to. The comic book series has had
yes.
a few different volumes. OVW, you're running that. There was a report that you were in talks with Netflix about bringing a show. I don't like. Can you speak to that? Do you know anything?
We had a project that happened last summer, and there is a particular, you know, platform that it's going to be coming out soon on. I can't really go into much or elaborate much more about it, but it, you know, it concerns OVW and everything, and I think it's going to be, I think, pretty cool and very big deal for wrestling as a whole, and I think, you know, for OVW especially, I think it's going to be fantastic. And you know, with the comic book, you know, we've got two titles: The Ballad of Al Stonehead, which is like a 40-page long story, all self-contained, and then The Adventures of Al Stonehead. And like you said, I have the team up with Chavo and one with Jesse Goddard's from Big Brother fame. And here, pretty soon, we're going to release one, a team up with Tommy Dreamer, and one with Scotty Tuhati as well. And the cool thing is that one, you know, everybody thinks, oh, wrestling comic book, it's all about wrestling, but they're not. They're, you know, like the one with Chavo was a Western, and Chavo was riding Pepe the stick horse, and, you know, I'm running around with Head and the old West. And, you know, the one with Tommy Dreamer is set during a Prohibition era with gangsters. And the one with Scotty Tuhati is like an assassins themed story. They're all very true to the characters that you see in wrestling. They just aren't centered around an arena and around a ring. And people want to find out more, they can go to brokeniconcomics.com and check them out. The Ballad is an individual story, and like the very first issue was me thinking that I'm a detective. I run a detective agency. I have Pierre and Pepper who are assisting me. And I overhear that a waitress in a post-apocalyptic world, she thinks that, you know, she's talking about that a guy stole her heart. So I immediately take the case up to find and retrieve her heart, when I mistake the idea that it's, you know, stole her heart, meaning she's in love, and I think that the guy actually stole her heart. And so I go out and try to find it. And then the second issue of The Ballad of Al Stonehead, I'm like a secret agent, and I'm trying to infiltrate the enemy to the north, which is Canada. It's like the evil regime. And in one of the big splash pages, I end up punching an old woman in the face. So it's you know, it's true to the character, and there are lots of little Easter eggs in it. But the premise is that all of this happens inside my mental state, inside my head, and as a result, because I'm crazy, so we can, you know, have different adventures. And some of the top names in the comic book world are working on it, and art wise and lettering wise and coloring wise. And I mean, they're just, the work that they've done on these things are amazing, just incredible.
Started laughing because I thought you and Scotty Tuhati could be headworm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
People have brainworms now, but I mean, headworms could.
Yeah,
Be
it almost makes me think of Centipede, the movie. You know.
Well, and speaking of movies, Al, just you got done shooting a sci-fi western, right?
Oh yeah,
Film.
yeah. I'm working on a supernatural western called Unnatural, and yeah, that one will be out sometime in the future too. So
I don't know when
just
Al finds time to sleep ever.
right.
uh,
You're busy. Dark Side of the Ring has a Marty Jannetty episode coming out. Were you part of that? And you
yeah,
tagged
yeah. They invited me to do an interview and stuff, and you know, so you know, I hope it. I know it's going to show Marty being Marty, but I also hope that it shows that Marty, should get a lot more appreciation and respect than what he has gotten over the years.
Mhm.
So, that was my tact during the interview, was to try to, show that Marty's a lot more than just what everyone sees on the surface.
Mhm. Is
So
there something particular that you learned from working with him? Because he was an established name. As far as, my experience, or maybe like that generation, that at the time, Marty's an established name. He's coming off of the Rockers run and, the solo run. You were sort of new to the WWF, but obviously you had experience before you got there. But is there something,
tons.
some,
Yeah.
can you narrow it down to anything?
No, nothing particular. I mean, Marty was a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I can tell you that, I know for a fact that Shawn Michaels can attribute a lot of what he learned, because he came in after Marty, and they put him with Marty to help Marty to help him, and they clicked, and a lot of what Shawn is and what Shawn became, I think, is a testament to that influence from Marty. Marty was able to, and I learned as much. I'd already been in the business probably 13, 14 years by the time I had teamed with Marty. And, the minute I got around Marty and we were together all the time, man, I just started learning so many different things that I had no idea, just being around him. And that's why I say I don't think Marty gets the credit that he really, and the respect that he really deserves, for how much of he got surpassed by Shawn, but by no means do I think that made Marty irrelevant. And, people, I don't want to be the Marty Jannetty of the team. Let me tell you something. If you were to be the Marty Jannetty of the team, that would be an incredible compliment, for you to be considered that, because I don't think people just appreciate just how good Marty really was. And that's kind of what I try to put forth on that dark side of the ring.
Yeah. That'll be, I think it's 5 weeks from when we're recording now.
I think it's in August. Yeah. I think it's in August.
I appreciate you saying that. We've covered quite a bit, and I know, David, you have some tour dates on your website. Is there anything that you want to plug before we get out of here? Or maybe Al, do you have any OVW events coming up that you want to get out there? I'll throw it.
Sure. Yeah, you just go to my website, davidvoxmullen.com. It's all the shows that I'm doing, some with, some without Al, obviously. But if you're looking to book Al and I, if you're a comedy club owner, or if you're a venue owner, or you just want to, create a night of comedy and you like wrestling, definitely reach out, and we're happy to talk about getting the show in your area. But yeah, right now it's just doing stand up and whatnot in various cities. And yeah, I know Al's got a bunch of stuff going on, and we just, when we can get some more stuff booked up, we're going to do a bunch more dates.
Yeah. On OVW, if anybody has any interest, they can go to ovwrestling.com. If they have interest in the school, they can go to ovwacademy.com. It's the only accredited by the State Office of Proprietary Education as a trade school for professional wrestling, sports entertainment, and broadcasting in the world. And they can catch OVW live every Thursday night on, the easiest one is Fight TV, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern across the country and around the world. We're in about 100 million homes from coast to coast and into Canada, Puerto Rico, Guam, Bahamas, Virgin Islands, on a multitude of national networks. And if they want to follow me on social media and just see some stupid, ridiculous jokes every day, they can go to the Real Al Snow Real Al Snow on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And yes, I use the word Real Al Snow because there's some fakes, and if you choose to fake being me, I'm just going to send you a message and go, come on, dude, aim the bar higher. I mean, really. Why wouldn't you want to be like, George Clooney or Brad Pitt or something? You thinking that you can just slide in under the radar and nobody's going to notice? Well, somebody did. So.
Well, and I'll say this, just, looking at, I heavily rely on Al's tweets every day to get me through, because his stuff is hilarious.
what does everybody want? For you
Yeah.
to watch the Al Snow Tag Team Comedy featuring David Vox Mullen on June 30th.
On the
Please.
Premier streaming network.
On the Premier streaming. Oh, I almost had the funny.
Yeah.
Almost
Please.
had it. I almost
Sorry.
had it.
Please, rents due. Please watch.
And if you liked it, tell all your friends. And if you didn't like it, tell them anyway.
Yeah, tell them anyways. Then they can see if I suck, and I'll still get paid. So
And then you'll still get some of that fruit.
yeah, that's right. I'll still get the fruits and vegetables.
Glass half full there. Thank you guys so much for your time today. Have a good
Thanks
afternoon.
for having
you.
us.
You
Bye.
take care.